What a champion. Now, it's the first week of the school holidays. Woosah, say it with me, parents, and you'll soon be joining your children for a much-needed time of relaxation and festivity. But I think for many parents, this time of the year brings about serious holiday stress, often resulting from an increased sense of family responsibility. So today, certified parenting coach Laura Markovitz now joins us in studio to unpack this issue, I'm going to call it. Welcome, Laura. We want to be carefree and enjoying connecting with our children over this time. You don't want to be getting stressed out, but the bottom line is you're carrying all of the baggage from the entire year. I can feel it myself, struggling to unpack everything. And now you've got to take on that added responsibility of being the complete minder of your child. Why do we get stressed out when it comes to our kids in the holiday season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said it perfectly. You know, we want to be there in holiday times and relaxed and connected and engaged with our children, but we're exhausted. And then it's kind of, I think of the holiday time, it's a little bit like Facebook on steroids, because it's kind of like you're seeing pictures of happy families around the tree and kids playing and all. We don't see what's going on behind those pictures.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot of stress going on for parents. There's financial pressures that come with the end of the year. Parents are exhausted, as you say. And it really does come with a lot of responsibility to try and keep our kids entertained, keep them happy, and we kind of have this expectation of this happy bubble, when for the reality is often very different. Often there's a lot of loss that gets exacerbated. People really feel it during this time.
It comes to bear,
For a lot of families who are separated or divorced, that sort of thing, really, we really feel it during this time. So it can bring up a lot of stress for people.
One thing I have learned, though, through this incredible journey, I get to do, as a new parent, get to do all of the parenting discussions, which I value so much. And there is an opportunity in connecting with your children, connecting as a family, that can maybe be the answer to all of the stress. What's the first step in managing this holiday stress?
Well, I think the first step is managing ourselves. You know, that's always it. It's kind of put the seatbelt on ourselves, get the oxygen mask first before we apply to our kids. So we've got to make sure that we're okay, that we are taking a little bit of time for ourselves. And I know that's often easier said than done, but it's building it in, even if it's getting up 15 minutes before our kids, just to breathe, just to have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee before we go into the mayhem. And then also learning to say no. So this time comes with a lot of expectation of visitors and meeting people and seeing family, and being able to sit back and prioritize what's important to us and our families, and then very diplomatically being able to field the invitations and the expectations. So I would say starting with us is key, and then I would move on to managing the kids. Yeah.
And then we can move on to managing the in-laws as well. No, we absolutely love it. It is a time to be joyous, and we want to be able to experience it. But I love the fact that you highlighted that we have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first. We're going to get into some creative ways that we can occupy that time, stimulate ourselves, stimulate our kids in our next chat. But thank you so much for joining us this morning, Laura. It's awesome having you here. The answer is there. The finish line is almost there, guys. The key is starting with yourself. Don't get too stressed out approaching this holiday time. Just understand that it is going to be a stressful time, and don't judge yourself too harshly. We're going to continue this very interesting conversation a little bit later in the show.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
He's such a little Socks, and Socks, well done on dressing him this morning. Well, I think for a lot of parents out there, maybe dressing your child is a fun way to pass the time over the holiday period, but there is a lot of stress that comes with all of this extra free time, and I think the added responsibility we as parents feel about having to look after, entertain, stimulate our children over this intense festive period that sometimes is not so festive. Laura Markovitz, certified parenting coach, has been counseling me as we sit here. It's been wonderful to connect with you. First of all, just to recap, why do we get stressed out over the holiday time?
Yeah, well, as I was chatting about earlier, it just really does bring up a lot of, it puts everything, as I said earlier, on steroids.
Yeah.
So our financial stresses, our relationship stresses, the responsibility to our kid, our kids, we're tired, all those sort of things really come to the fore when we now are during the festive season, when we're meant to be these happy, connected people.
And with a child, there's nowhere to hide. They're always on, and you want to feel like you're always there and present and connected. But truth be told, you've got to be able to kind of find time for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where we have to start, actually, because if we're not finding time for ourselves, there's absolutely no way that we can be the present, engaged, connected parents that we want to be. And to be honest, we can't strive to be the connected, engaged parents 24/7. That's not a healthy expectation to have on ourselves, and it's not healthy for our kids to think that they're going to have us 24/7, because that's a totally unrealistic representation of the world out there.
You might be doing them a disservice long term, actually.
Absolutely.
So on the flip side of that coin, therein lies an opportunity. We've now got this creative free space for our children to maybe find themselves, grow themselves. How do we kind of broach that side and give them the opportunity to become more independent?
Yeah, so I mean, here you are during holiday time, and I think we've got to be careful of, as parents, thinking, oh, I've got to occupy them 24/7, and I've got to bring out all the stops and bring out the acrobats of earlier, and think that we've got to keep them entertained. I think what's important is we've got to allow some space for boredom, and we all get very nervous, don't want them to be bored, but actually allow that space for them to be creative, to just relax after a long, busy year of lots of structured activities, that they now get the opportunity to find what they want to be doing, and to be doing that in a boundaried way. So I'm absolutely not advocating set them free and just let them go. Absolutely not. They absolutely need to benefit from the boundaries that we set for them. But within those boundaries, they have space to find some independence out there as well.
Yeah, and also I think just be ever mindful of the idea of safety at this time of the year, because that is I think a concern. But every parent should be thinking about their child's safety as a paramount anyway.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's something that we are obviously always cognizant of, our children's safety, but it's something that we have to try and balance, because we don't want to be absolutely bubble wrapping our children and going completely neurotic. But at the same time, we do have to be realistic and think of them on the beaches, in crowded spaces, in airports, all those sorts of things. So we do need to apply our mind and be thinking about this and prepping our kids for these kinds of times.
I love that. Just be mindful, but I think take on board that you've got to spend a bit of time working on yourself as well. Laura, you're an absolute genius. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful festive time. Don't get stressed out. Spend some time rejuvenating, and hopefully that's given you guys a jumping off point, somewhere to start with de-stressing over this festive period.